Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of More Than Management. I'm your
Yeah.
host, Alvi. We got our co host, Yas, and today we have a very special guest, a friend of ours, Cathy. Woo!
Yay.
So, yes, Cathy, do you want to tell us a bit about yourself for the listeners so they get to know you a bit? Like, what do you study? What do you do?
So I'm in my last year at GMSB, and my major is in management, and then I minor in finance, and then I also work in a startup that we'll talk about throughout this video.
So, that's the topic of today. Cathy's said it now. It's startups. So you're probably kind of familiar with what startups are. Do you want to give us like kind of a
Basically, it's just a company, new company, and you have an idea, and usually it's innovative idea, and you want to make it work. So you start up an idea. So
you start up
yeah.
an idea? I like
That's
that.
the word, yeah.
And usually you look for funding from like, I mean,
I'd say that's the difference between small business and startup is because you are looking for funding and hopefully in the end an exit.
exact. So that's kind of like a general idea in case you're not familiar with startups. And yeah, so clearly here, Cathy works at a startup. So that's why we have her in the podcast. She's going to give us the insights, whatnot, her process, what it's been like, and especially like being a student and everything, how the balance of working in a startup, especially plus being a student and trying to keep everything up and afloat. But yes, real quick though, we have had some of our events from JHMA. That's our LinkedIn photo shoot. We'll drop some pictures over here and our recruitment cocktail that's today, but we'll also pop some pictures. And yeah, we'll just keep you notified about some other events we're gonna have later on. But yeah, we're gonna move over to our first section, which is gonna be more into the startups, what Cathy does, so she can share a bit of her experience and whatnot. So yeah, do you have any questions for a special guest?
Yes, I have one, the first one. So, how did you find the startup and like how did you apply for this?
So I'd say a funny story ish. I was at a cafe with my friend, and then last minute she told me that if she can invite her boyfriend, and sure I know him, so I'm like yeah, of course. And then after he arrived, and she ended up doing more her homework. So I ended up asking him what his job is about and whatnot. And I know him the last 5 years.
Okay.
And so it was, mind you, Saturday, 9 a.m., so super early. And I was about to cancel on the cafe. So that's the energy here. And so he was showing me his work, and he was kind of obsessed with it, showing his Excel sheet, a lot of functions and whatnot. But then I noticed that, oh, that's kind of the vibe I want to go for in terms of working. And at the time, I was looking for internships. So it was my second year of at GMSB in November 2024. And so, yeah, I was looking for an internship. So I'm like, okay, let me just ask him. So I asked him if the startup is looking for any interns. He told me no. But maybe he knows like some people that are also in a startup that might be looking for an intern. And I let it aside. 2 months after, January 2025, I was actively looking for an internship. And so I thought of him. So I reached out asking him if he could share with me the other startups. And then he told me, oh, maybe now we are looking for a business intern. Why don't you come to the office and then we can chat and see if like we match on if we can bring you value and if you can bring us value. And a year or so after, he's my COO today, and I work with him every day and still hardworking, still fully obsessed with the work. So
Okay.
I'd say that's how. Um, for anyone listening, I'd say always ask around. Like you think that it's at events or it's formal networking, but you never know. It could be a friend, friend of friend. Because at the end of the day, every professional is a someone. So
Yeah. Yeah, you never know.
Yeah. So
Like,
always ask and like maybe you get like an internship, maybe not, but like do ask and even if it's your friends, your family,
you never know who it
yeah.
can be. Like honestly, literally just a stranger walking by that just happened to hear a conversation. They're like, "Oh, we're actually looking for someone." Like you literally never know. It's crazy.
So yeah.
But do you want to share with us a bit of like what your position is? Like,
Yeah.
what do you do?
So the startup I work at is a medtech startup, so a medical technology startup, and basically we develop products, devices that go into hospitals or clinics, and where I come in is more on the commercialization phase. So anything related to finance, marketing. Right now, like more investor relations. So how do we go find the money that we need to fund our startup? So I'd say a bit of everything
Damn, okay. You're
on
like,
the business side.
Okay.
yeah.
That's a bit how startups work. Everyone does a bit of everything. I know that my off limit would be developing the device in itself. I know nothing about software engineering or hardware engineering, mechanical. So I trust my team with that, and then they give me some trust with anything we learn in school, basically, but and more. So,
Oh yeah. Do you have any expectations on like what working at a startup would be like?
I'd say that pretty aligned with what I expected. I've always wanted to work in a smaller organization. So even before going into this startup and even before going into university at JMSB, I already knew that I wanted like what I wanted to develop as skills. So like when I was looking for internships, I applied for Big Corp, the Big Four, whatever.
Okay.
But I knew that I wanted to go into smaller startups, so well, smaller organizations and business.
Interesting.
So like you find something that you really like here because like it's small and then like you can manage your team and yeah.
Yeah, I'd say that it's I don't know if the word is accountability, but maybe the thrill of knowing that whatever you do has a direct impact. So let's say when I went into the startup, they didn't tell me necessarily what to do. It's just, okay, we trust you, find the problems and then diagnose, analyze, then just find the solution and execute. So I knew that everything I do, it would serve a purpose. And for me, it's always been, I get lost, I get bored easily if I work on something that has no meaning or something, like I'm not too sure what it's about. And even with school, like grade wise, I'm kind of bored of having to work hard just for a grade. So that's why I wanted to pair my school journey with work and knowing that the work I do direct impact with the final result.
That's really nice, to be honest. Like, not a lot of people have that kind of initiative, so to say,
Yeah.
and that kind of purpose of like seeing the result of what you're doing, you know? But that's, I mean, it's in a startup, so it makes sense that that's what you're gonna get, right? But I mean, how have you found, yeah, between like the startup plus your studies like in school? Because it must be different at a startup that, like, for example, me that I work at like a restaurant, that it's you never know your hours, what you're gonna get. Like it's always the same thing you're doing, basically. So like it doesn't change much. But I'm guessing for a startup it must be kind of different. Like how have you been able to like balance those two and everything?
I wouldn't say it's easy, but or difficult, but also it's because I've took time to make sure that everything works and fits together. So let's say I have 4 or 5 classes per semester, and so that's pretty much that's full time.
Yeah.
And I work around 25 to 30 hours at a startup,
Okay.
and then I have like social time, and then
You still have social
moving.
time?
Yeah, I do.
Crazy.
Social time, and then moving and whatnot. So I think that the reason I'm able to manage is not just like out of nowhere. I take a lot of time to plan, and it could be on a Sunday night or any day of the week where you just set time. Sometimes it takes me an hour and a half to just figure out my week, how it's gonna roll out. And I do it every other day. So every 2, 3 days, I go back to my agenda and you guys should see my agenda.
It's
It's pretty intense.
I
A
remember
lot
last semester I saw it on your computer, I think, and I was like, damn, Cathy, I think you have like
it's a lot of colors, a lot of blocking out, and you can't keep everything in your mind and expect to be able to be productive. So lay it out and see if it's actually possible. So first thing I'd say, it's have an agenda if you want to be able to manage like a lot of work and work where you need to think actively and then produce, and then also school. And second thing, I'd say that you need to have time to rest, relax, and have good social time. So at least a couple of hours per week. Even though I feel like I'm doing a lot, I always spend time with family, friends, and it can be with your partner also. Like make time for that, because at the end of the day, that's what matters. So you don't want to just push everything and just grind. And lastly, I'd say managing startup and school would be sleep. And for me personally, that's when once I started doing that and having my 7, 8 hours of sleep, then I noticed that everything feels better and you don't want to, like you have more energy throughout the day.
Yeah, we have like a very kind of set list of like what works for you too. Because like we've talked about this before in the podcast already about like what burnout is, what it looks like, time management, the importance of it, which clearly you have like figured out already.
It took time. That's the thing. Oh, maybe I have a last thing then. Time to reflect. Like put an hour a day. I know it feels like a lot, and maybe in the present moment it feels useless because you might tell yourself, I don't have 1 hour to just reflect. But if it's slow in the beginning, it will be faster in the long run. So taking time to just plan out your life. I know it's not always easy, but planning out is the word. It's the word.
Taking time to plan your week and whatnot.
Reflect on what you want, and for me, it's always after like every weeks or so, every month, I sit down and I notice, oh, are my actions still aligned with what I want long term? And we're so used to being in, like just being in the, like being in action, that we don't take time to notice if the action is actually helping us or not. So take time to journal or just reflect, write it in your notes, and
okay, that's good. That's something I think people will like, because I feel like it's something that is really missing. It's like you're telling yourself, oh my god, I need to do this, this, and this. But at the end, you're doing that, but you're not really sure that it's working and worth it for you after. So thank you for this good tips.
I mean, yeah, it's definitely. We were going to get that to a bit later, which we'll probably like get back to later on. But I mean, yeah, clearly Cathy has everything figured out basically.
it took time.
No, of course, it takes time, experience, and like I guess just life happens and you get to learn how to deal with it, what helps, what doesn't. So just try it out and see what works for you guys. But I have a good question actually. I was wondering like if now that you've worked at a startup, has it ever occurred to you like starting your own startup, you know?
I'd say maybe not startup, but a small business.
Okay.
I think that startup, I mean, we never know, right? Maybe 2, 3 years down the line, I want to have my own startup. But I feel startup, you don't need to, but you need to have a pretty good, innovative idea and looking for fundraising and whatnot. And I'm more of a long term, I think I'm more of a one-on-one. And so small business, since forever, I've always wanted my own stuff and just having my own small business. And so no, not necessarily startup, but I learned a lot from it in the sense that a lot of skills you need to have in a startup, you will need it having your own thing. And so yes and no.
Yeah.
You learn something from it, of course, and like you can take things from there and
because technically a startup you're still a founder, so you're still owning something. It's just the route of a startup is different than a small business.
Yeah.
a restaurant, a cafe, or even like consulting. Consulting it could be like a consulting firm. You're a business owner, but it's not a startup in itself, right? So there's a difference between both.
Nice.
Thank you.
Like you said, like the way you applied in the process, it was conversations you had with like the boyfriend, whatnot. So like, I mean, but besides that, do you think there was any other like path you might have taken to like look for the opportunity to work at a startup?
100%. I think the only reason I was able to take that opportunity is because I was aware of what I wanted. So that's why I say reflect, right?
Yeah.
So opportunities, you'll only be able to take them if you know that's what you want. So if it's not through my friend, it could be through events. So going to, I think we talked about this a bit earlier, but it doesn't need to be school events. You can go to events which are held by professionals or people sometimes people that have podcasts, they decide to do a meeting, like meet and greet and whatnot. So go to those events and just be curious. I was actively looking for an internship, but I didn't think that on a Saturday morning at 9 a.m. I'd find an internship. But I knew what I wanted, so always on the lookout and just be curious to learn about people, because if it's not an internship or a job they could give you insight in their reality. So through events, I could have found like my internship also, or job indeed, LinkedIn.
Yeah.
But I'd say the best way to just find a job is through connections.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, connections are important.
Yeah.
They are. So then, I think we're gonna move over to the next section, which is
The
gossip tea time. And this time we asked you guys like if there was any bad experiences you've had at work, or if there was maybe one time you joined like a new job that had something in their job description and ended up being something completely different. And we had some good stories. So, Cathy, would you like to do us the honor of reading the first one?
So I started a job at a company that is known worldwide, and I was hired to be a coordinator. They told me that for the job, I had to fire 2 people.
Damn.
Oh.
So
That's
in July,
oh, that's it.
July 2025.
So that was the first story. So they were literally hired, and the first thing they had to do, they were hired and they had to fire.
Yeah.
That is crazy, honestly. Though they just hired, everyone's gonna hate you, honestly, at your job. Like that's the first thing you get to do. That's
I think I know who this is.
damn, imagine. Hey, spotted. No, but that's just insane. I've never had that happen. I've never had to fire anyone. I feel like that would be just
too much like responsibility.
yeah, like dealing with I mean, depends on who they are as well,
but the fact that like you were hired to fire people, that's
basically
even worse. Yeah.
There's always a good way to go about it, but
of course,
it's nerve-wracking.
Have you ever had to fire someone?
Ish.
Oh.
But I'd say it always sucks because most of the time, the people are great people.
Yeah.
But then at one point, if it doesn't fit with the skills or it doesn't fit with where you want to be, that's where it becomes more difficult because most of the time, people are not asshole.
Yeah.
And, so you need to find the right way to say it to people, and you give chances also. It's not like they did something, okay, let's cut them.
No.
Okay.
That's also. Yeah, I think I would have a hard time, honestly, finding the right way. I would feel so bad. It just, unless I hate that person, right? That would be a different story. But nah, it must be tough, honestly, firing someone. But okay, we're gonna move over to the next story, which is it's a longer one, but it's very interesting. And so here goes. In July 2025, I had the opportunity to board an important person in Canada on his flight to Vancouver. And when I asked for his ID, everything was good, but the expiry date, like it apparently had already been expired, his government ID. And the rules in the airport is that the passport or the ID have to be valid. in order to travel, which makes sense. You cannot travel with with an expired passport, I guess. And okay, now I was so confused because I know this guy. I mean, I think we all know the guy. Again, important person in Canada, maybe. Yeah, the person we all know in Canada. Like, come on, it's him. Do I board him or do I refuse him for not having his ID valid? What do I do? Do I follow the rules or does the exception apply to him? Because if he's this very important person, he has access to anything. He can bypass everything, but he's no longer that important, I guess. So he was very confused and he did the most ridiculous thing, which was deny that important person to board the plane because of the expired ID, which makes sense. I mean, honestly, yeah. I mean, if I'm doing my job and it's an important person, I think I would also be like, no, never mind. I don't know if I would let them in or not.
Maybe
No,
like
you shouldn't.
I mean, yeah, I guess you shouldn't.
You shouldn't.
Never mind, you should not. And apparently, I rebooked him. I called airport security clearance, and they laughed and said it was okay to board him with an expired ID. And when he found out he could have went inside the plane, he was pissed and furious at me. That was just an overall bad day at work, but whatever. I followed the rules and still slept like a baby at night, knowing I refused one of a very important guy in Canada. Yeah. Damn.
So thank you for the person who said that story.
That's crazy though.
Yeah, that's really crazy. So
Imagine that important person being mad at you. That's just
but
that's
like
just
he was
insane.
like he was following the rules. So
Yeah, of course. I mean,
yeah,
if you're following the rules, there's like they shouldn't get mad at you just because you didn't give them the privilege of
like
yeah,
passing him because he was that important. Like
exactly.
you're like a normal normal person at the end of the day.
Exactly.
So like you need to follow the rules.
If you're doing your job, keep doing it. Like, don't do anything
literally.
illegal. Keep that good vibe going and just do your job right, and you'll be fine. No matter who it is, they can be that important to fire you, I hope. But thank you guys for your stories. Do you guys have any stories that like you had this job you just joined and then it was something different than what they said it would be?
I don't know if it was different, but I used to work for a insurance company.
Okay.
It was a summer job, and I knew that I had to pick up the phone and whatnot, but it was a bit of everything they said I'd do. And then coming in, I ended up being just cold calling people, and I lasted for 4 days and a half. And then it was good experience, the type of experience that now I know I have, and I don't want to go back to it. But yeah, not for me. And I was like in the corner, just cold calling for like 6-7 hours.
Okay, too much, yeah, cool.
Too much, and it was bored. So.
That's fair.
But that's, as you say, it's a good experience, so you know that you don't want to work in that field.
Exactly.
So,
I mean, now for me in Mexico, I was still in high school, and then a friend of mine, he was like, "Oh yeah, I'm working at this like sales place that they sold like kitchen stuff and whatnot," and he kind of hooked me into it. And I was like, "Oh," he was like, "Yeah, we make so good money and whatnot, so you should join." And so I joined. Little did I know it was a pyramid scheme, basically. And they were like, "Yeah, the pay's good. You just have to go and like contact people, go give like presentations on the products." And I was like, "Okay, easy money, right?" And they just like things went dark so fast. They were like, "You're not getting enough people. You're not getting enough contacts. We should be getting these much like contacts in a month, and you're not giving us any." The guy, he literally like he was kind of a manager, I guess. He was like, "If you don't get it, you gotta go wash my car." And I'm like, that was it. That's when I was like, "That's it. I'm done with this, please." And I was like, "No, I'm not." So I 1 week after, I just kind of ghosted them, and yeah, I shouldn't have done that. I mean, I was young, but but then I ended up leaving the place because it went dark. The pyramid scheme, everything, not it. Don't work on a pyramid scheme, guys. But not crazy.
I have a good story too about work. So I was working in in a supermarket, and and so I was doing my job and everything, and then my boss called me once, and he was like, "Can you go upstairs and like, can we have like a talk?" So we talked for 10 minutes, and then he said to me like, "You should go to the cafe just next to the shop. Like, you're like quitting the hour of your job." And then you go to the cafe, and then you'll do like a presentation on like a consulting agency. And I was like, "What? Why are you saying that to me?" And it was like, "That's good, that's for you," and blah blah blah. So I went to the cafe for 1 hour, and I was not paid. And then yeah, and I was working, and then he was asking me to like come like other days that I was not working, to come and do to him like presentation about like consulting stuff and like big brand. And I was like, "That's not my job. Like, I'm working in a supermarket. I will not do more than this." So yeah.
Do you know why he decided to choose you to do that?
I think at the time it because we had like beef. I don't know if I can say
That's
that.
crazy. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Go.
It's like gossip tea time. No worries. You can say anything.
But like yeah, we had beef, and he was like very very mad at me at some point, like for weeks, and yeah, I think I was his target like for like weeks. So yeah, he was like just asking me to do some things, and like he was telling me some bad things. So yeah, I was very upset, and I wanted to quit. For some reason, I didn't at that time, but now I did.
But wow, okay, no, that's a crazy story. Honestly, that yeah,
So yeah, so I quit like maybe 4 months ago or something.
yeah. Well, I don't have no worry.
Okay.
Wow, crazy stories, guys. Honestly, sometimes I mean that's where you get experience from. I guess like
Yeah.
that's how we learn stuff, but not experiences. Sucks that we have like bad experiences sometimes, but like what better way to learn, I guess. And I mean, we have some tips and tricks, but kind of we've already said some of them. But like to kind of
Some.
yeah sum it up in a way, as Cathy mentioned, honestly, you never know what's gonna work for networking, so to say. What can when you might get an internship, who might get it for you? It's always connections most of the time. So use those connections. Like if you have friends, family that work at a place you want to work at, they might be able to help you out, and there's nothing wrong with that. Just ask. They might be the answer. We also mentioned going to events, right? So like being present at events, maybe that's gonna help. There's honestly a lot at school with associations that they help you out. Like JHMA, we have our networking events, like the recruitment cocktail, for example. We have like big companies coming, and then you can actually talk to them and be present, give them your CV. It's always better than just sending your CV online if you get to talk to the people that work there.
And
So-
get their LinkedIn and like
Yeah.
talk. Like just more like the approach. If I have to say like something, a tip, it's not like, "Oh my god, so what are you doing?" and like, "Can I give you my CV?" Like, no more the people like go and like say, "Oh, can we go to a cafe and talk about this?" and like having a real connection with the with that person that you want to work with. So yeah.
I also know that networking is not for everyone. I remember 3 years ago, nerve-wracking. Like going just into a space where there's everyone and no one you know. You're not too sure like how to just insert yourself in a conversation.
That can be intimidating. Like
Exactly. And sometimes you don't know what can you talk about and what not. So I'd say that's when books, videos, podcasts can be your best friend. Like just understanding the mechanism of networking. And first networking, if you've never attended a networking event, first one's going to be nerve-wracking. Second one's going to be nerve-wracking but a bit less. So it's really with practice like anything else. Just attend. You can just look around and the first one. No one's going to judge you.
Yeah.
No one is. You're there to make new connections. So don't be scared to just figure it out on your own, and then you'll see with time it's going to be more second nature.
yeah. Worst case, there's always food and drinks at these events. So like
That's where I was. That's where I was at in my first few networking events. Just
Like,
look,
Yeah,
taking food and
that's you can just go for that. Honestly, it helps. Like it works. And yeah, just be present. Try going to those events if that's something that you're in for. And also being active on LinkedIn. I feel like that's a good like tip as well. It's very important sometimes to be there, and you never know what kind of connections you might have on LinkedIn. But yeah, any other tips and tricks you guys might have?
Maybe I'd say LinkedIn, if that's the way you want to go with finding opportunities, is just reaching out to a person, ask them for a 15-minute call, and come prepared a bit, understand a bit what they're doing. And let's say for me, if anyone wants to have a 15-minute call just to learn about my background and if I can help them, I'll say yes. And you'd be surprised the number of people that say yes, virtually anyone. Not anyone, but like
But like a lot.
more than you would think. And in that 15 minutes, don't start asking about a job opportunities or whatnot. Just try to understand the person and learn from them, like how they went from point A to point B or point B to point C. And from there, you can replicate a bit what they did to get where they are. So reach out, ask for a 15-minute call, and go from there.
Try to connect. Don't just go in and ask, "Hey, can I get a job, please?"
I was at a networking event and then for a big corp and student event, and this guy just talked to a consultant. First thing he says, hi, and then, so I'm looking for a job. You have it. So that maybe that's not the best way to go about
Avoid
things,
that.
right?
Yeah.
So yeah. So the word of this podcast, I will say, is ask questions.
Ask, be curious.
Yeah. Connect, network, connections. But yeah, I think that concludes this episode for today. And don't forget, go check our Insta, LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, of course, where you're listening this, Spotify, whatnot. And yeah, we're like I said, we have had 2 events already this semester. We're definitely going to be having more, so we'll keep you guys updated on those as well. And subscribe to our newsletter as well, where you'll also be able to see the upcoming events. We're also going to drop Cathy's LinkedIn if you'd like.
Of course.
That way you guys can connect with her as well. If you have any questions, anything else you might want to know, you can feel free to ask Cathy. She's probably going to answer, like she said.
Maybe it's going to take a couple of minutes, but of course I'll answer.
And yeah, thank you very much, Cathy, for being with us today.
Thanks for the invite.
Of course.
It was very good insights and information. So we hope you guys find it helpful and it helps you guys as well. So thanks for listening, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Bye.
Bye.